Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we're right in the thick of things. Usually we're sitting in a park, but you can probably hear, sorry Jai Dev Prabhu, but there's lots of noise behind us. This is coming from all the traffic, which is around. If you think you know where we are, then you can put it in the comments. We're not going to tell you, so we're just trying to encourage people to guess. I think some people will figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, so where are we at?
Alright, Canto 3, Chapter 20, Text 28, Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 28. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, "Cast off this impure body of yours." Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. Purport. The Lord is described here by the word Viktadyamadashana. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. That's true. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and he directly perceives the exact causes of distress. In Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham vriddhi sanivista. I am sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occur. Thus, whenever one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, one finds that he is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction how to get out of dangers or how to approach him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Srila Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma give up a particular mentality. That's
Subtle
very
body.
interesting.
That's very powerful. Subtle body.
Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we give up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should also be careful about begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends upon the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhodana Samskara, or the ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet of the Lord, and in such a state the child is born, naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities. Very nice, Papa. Very nice. We've got to change ourselves. We've got to change the mind. You know, we've got a consciousness, our motives, our desires. And this brings about a change in the world. As Michael Jackson says, you've got to change the man in the mirror. You've got to look at him or her. But it's true, you know. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, so, those points are very powerful. I think this idea of how Lord Brahma is perpetually giving up his body, it's can be quite confusing at first, but just like we can have a transformation, and people do all the time. They have to cast off their old habits. They have to cast off their old mentality, and that change in consciousness, that actually changes. I mean, it's a change of subtle body, but it ultimately changes the gross body as well. Just like if someone, some people like to eat or overweight, and they decide that no, I have to change my consciousness around it, then that also manifests a change in their physical body. People who enter into more of a consciousness of the mode of goodness, that will change their gross body also. So really change is often more manifested from inside outward rather than externals going in.
Yeah.
I remember Radhanath Maharaj once, at an airport, he met with a lady, I'm not sure if I told this before, but she turned out to be like the kind of environmental minister for India or something like that. And they got to talking, and she said, well, Swami, how do you feel that, you're really helping the environmental cause? And so he said, well, basically, the external environment that's so polluted is only manifest from the internal consciousness and the internal world that's polluted. So if we can purify and uncontaminate the internal consciousness, and then that will have a manifestation on the external world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, look, what we tend to try and do is change the environment and change the people, but we just need to change ourselves, and you could be in the same situation and be cool. And the other people around you in the environment deal with their stuff. It's quite powerful because they realize, they're cool, they're okay, Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't require, it's quite a powerful thing, it doesn't require that change or whatever, shunning them or ignoring them. It's like, no, I just shift my consciousness, It can change the whole situation according to how we perceive it, or our consciousnesses. Adapt
our consciousness.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 different same people in the same situation, but everyone will deal with it differently, like in a meeting or in a confrontation, and everyone around you ask them what happened, and everyone will be dealing with it differently according to where they're at.
Yes, there are many unique individuals in the world. And then the last part also about about how consciousness affects the outside. And Prabhupada mentioned samskar, the Garbhanan samskar, that life really is meant to begin with the parents being in the right consciousness to bring in a soul into the world. In the world that we live in at the moment, many people are very much in a space of self-absorption and not really even being conscious. I guess you could say many people come into the world and they're almost like accidents. We hear about that all the time. Oh, we didn't mean to have you. It's like, but that's not the consciousness with which we bring a soul into the world, with to speak of look after it once it comes into the world. So Prabhupada mentions Garbhanan Samskar, and in case you didn't know, just a little plug, I recently started a website and also Facebook and Instagram, because we're doing these samskars now for community members. I've been doing for some time, but now kind of more openly advertising. So you can check it out on Facebook. It's called Samskar Services, and you can just search Samskar Services on the web, and it's there. What is it? Samskar-services.com.
I can put the link on the description.
Oh yeah, okay. But anyway, so we can do these services, and so we can help devotees to invoke and have samskars, so that their consciousness and the consciousness of their children is more inclined toward devotion and devotional service. So like that, then as Prabhupada says at the end, so when the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities.
Yeah.
So we got plenty of demoniac mentality going on. That's changed by starting with our own consciousness and our own lives. So, God, that was a lot of stuff on one verse and purport.
Yes, it was.
Prabhupada packs it in, and we're not done. We could keep going for hours.
You sure could. Let's read on.
Text 29. The body given up by Brahma took the form of the evening twilight, when the day and night meet, a time which kindles passion. The asuras, who are passionate by nature, dominated as they are by the element of rajas, took it for a damsel whose lotus feet resounded with the tinkling of anklets, whose eyes were wide with intoxication, and whose hips were covered by fine cloth, over which shone a girdle. Purport. In the early morning is the period for spiritual cultivation. The beginning of evening is the period for passion. Demoniac men are generally fond of sex enjoyment. Therefore, they very much appreciate the approach of evening. The demons took the approach of the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, and they began to adore her in various ways. They imagined the twilight to be a very beautiful woman with twinkling bangles on her feet, a girdle on her hips, and beautiful breasts. And for their sexual satisfaction, they imagined the appearance of the beautiful girl before them. Well, that's amazing. I've never quite thought of, well, it's not twilight. It says twilight. Yes, twilight. Twilight is the end of the day, and dawn is the morning. So yeah, I never quite pictured it, but yeah, you can see and how it kind of makes sense that.
Yeah, people get ready to go out, have some fun.
Yeah. It's like the confluence between. Confluence between. Passion is dying and ignorance is awakening. So people are looking for getting some fun, and of course Prabhupada says sex is king or something like that. What's he say? Anyway, we've been reading that in other places, I think in Bhagavad-Gita, right? So anyway, people are, very fond of sex enjoyment. So like that, so interesting. So that mentality became a personification of twilight, and the demons took shelter of it. So interesting.
Yeah, text 30. Her breasts projected upward because of their clinging to each other, and they were too contagious to admit any intervening space. She had a shapely nose and beautiful teeth, a lovely smile placed on her hips, and she cast a sportful glance at the asuras.
So you said, what was the word you said? Contagious.
Contiguous.
Yeah, it's contiguous, which means adjacent, or sharing a common border or touching. I mean, they might have been contagious, I don't know. But...
Text 31. Adorned with dark tresses, she hid herself, as it were, out of shyness. Upon seeing that girl, the asuras were all infatuated with an appetite for sex. Purport. The difference between demons and demigods is that a beautiful woman very easily attracts the minds of demons, but she cannot attract the mind of a godly person. A godly person is full of knowledge, and a demoniac person is full of ignorance. Just as a child is attracted by a beautiful doll, similarly a demon who is less intelligent and full of ignorance is attracted by material beauty and an appetite for sex. The godly person knows this nicely dressed and ornamented attraction of high breasts, high hips, beautiful nose and fair complexion is Maya. All the beauty a woman can display is only a combination of flesh and blood. Sri Shankaracharya has advised all persons not to be attracted by the interaction of flesh and blood. They should be attracted by the real beauty in spiritual life. The real beauty is Radha and Krishna. One who is attracted by the beauty of Radha and Krishna cannot be attracted by the false beauty of this material world. That is the difference between a demon and a godly person or devotee.
There you go. So it's not the external object. It's not the external thing. It's again about our
consciousness.
Our consciousness, yeah. And so one who knows that it's just an amalgamation of flesh and blood and the material elements doesn't become enamored or distracted by it. Like that. Any thoughts?
No.
Text 32, right?
Yeah. No. 30. What? 30? No. What am I doing? 32, yeah. I'm enamored.
Enamored. By what? We don't know. But this is the god of enamoring up here.
Right.
Yeah, so just to give you a little hint where we're located. Okay, text 32. The demons praised her. Oh, what a beauty. What rare self-control. What a budding youth. In the midst of us all who are passionately longing for her, she is moving about like one absolutely free from passion. Text 33. Indulging in various speculations about the evening twilight, which appeared to them endowed with the form of a young woman, the wicked-minded asuras treated her with respect and fondly spoke to her as follows. Text 34. I think this will be maybe the last one we do. Who are you, O pretty girl? Whose wife or daughter are you? And what can be the object of your appearing before us? Why do you tantalize us, unfortunate as we are, with the priceless commodity of your beauty? Purport. The mentality of the demons is being enamored by the false beauty of this material world. The mentality of the demons in being enamored by the false beauty of this material world is expressed herein. The demoniac can pay any price for the skin beauty of this material world. They work very hard all day and night, but the purpose of their hard work is to enjoy sex life. Sometimes they misrepresent themselves as karma yogis, not knowing the meaning of the word yoga. Yoga means to link up with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to act in Krishna consciousness. A person who works very hard, no matter in what occupation, and who offers the result of the work to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is called a karma yogi. Interesting. Any thoughts? No? I think it's interesting. Of course, it mentions about the mentality, the demoniac mentality, is that we become allured by the material energy over and above without recognizing that it's actually coming from Krishna. So that's the demoniac mentality. It's against the mentality of remembering God. But then, of course, people work very hard, and Prabhupada, he enters in this kind of misrepresentation thing of karma yogis, saying that sometimes people work hard all day claiming to be karma yogis, claiming that they're connecting with God in some way through their karma, but actually they're just working hard to enjoy their senses. We're a real karma yogi, and Prabhupada says very nicely in the last sentence, a person who works very hard, no matter in what occupation, so whatever occupation, and who offers the result of the work to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called a karma yogi. Now, of course, there's an ever so slight difference between karma yoga and bhakti yoga. I mean, there's a big difference in one sense, but when you add in Krishna, it becomes ever so slight, and that's discussed a lot in the Bhagavad-Gita. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Any closing thoughts?
Yes, just watch your thoughts. As they say, thoughts become a habit.
Thoughts become actions. Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
From a thought comes an action. From an action comes a habit. From a habit comes a character, and from a character comes your destiny. So like that.
It all starts with the thoughts.
Dyayo vishayapam samsangastan. Dyayato vishayapam samsangastan jayate kama kama kodi vijayate. Like that. 262, 263. I didn't quite get that verse proper. All right, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Grantaraj
Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.